May I have some of that? My business run out. Because nobody here is ever going to be high maintenance. We are happy, intellectual, nerd family. Thanks, Billy. So, our last reader today is who I think of as kind of our godfather figure. This forward. Andrew Bertaina is a professor at American, which is my own alma mater, so that's exciting. And he hosts these every month in his house, which is a beautiful house and a little difficult to get to, but it's just a little wordful every single time we go. But his readings are always fun, they're always berries, and they are our inspiration for holding Fox City and in a place that we can just get to a little more easily. So, official business style, Andrew Bertaina is the author of the essay collection, The Body is a Temporary Gathering Place, which is not, in fact, it is! This same book he has here, so if you like it, sorry, I'm plugging it for you. You don't have to plug it now.
Can really accept it?
It's very good. Billy and I have both read it. It's a fun time. Engrossing time. And a short story collection, One Person Away from You. His work has appeared in the Three Penny Review, Witness Magazine, Post Road, and elsewhere. His work has been anthologized in The Best American Poetry. God damn, well done. Man, our people are excellent. Good job, people. The Best Microfiction, and listed as notable in 3 editions of Best American Essays. He has 2 cats, a guinea pig, and a larger number of children.
Okay, thank you, Ellie, Michael, or all of you, for having me here to read. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to read one short flash essay and then an excerpt from another essay. So the first essay is on showering and mortality, so also uplifting. But it is about, time. I don't know what we want from our lives, so what we get. My parents were divorced. I was really young. And I was like, obviously, we make these promises about our lives. I was like, well, I will not do that. And then, life happens. And you do it. And then so you find yourself thinking about the way that kind of like time passes and like one life becomes overlaid on another. I had a very distinct memory of my father. I have a really bad memory, teaching me how much shampoo to put in your hand when you're a child. Because I think I overdid it. Maybe, I'm not sure remember. And so this essay is about this memory I have of my father and then the unfolding of me having a child of my own. After coffee, I stepped into the elevator and smelled the lingering scent of Suave and was transported back to childhood, into the small bathroom with yellowed tiles where I'd first learned to shower in the apartment my father shared with his second wife and family. Smell is the sense most intimately tied to memory. The olfactory bulb runs from nose to brain, making stops in the amygdala and hippocampus, which is linked to forming memories. Thus, the smell slowly permeates the thin web-like structures of memory. And now I am thinking of my father's impossibly large hands, the slightly large front teeth of his second wife, the low jet stream of the shower. I remembered the row of maroon carpeted steps that led up to the second floor of the apartment where I used to race G.I. Joes, dropping them headfirst from one step and seeing how far they'd tumble. I remembered the pungent odor of litter he kept in the master bedroom, and the way he seemed to always be folding laundry, wave after wave, hustling it along and folding it aggressively, exerting a kind of control he wished he had over everything. The sun left me with an overwhelming sense of nostalgia and almost physical pain for the past, for that child of 8, naked and cold. I did not want to be that precise child again, bossed and bullied at school, still frightened of the dark, of diving into the chlorinated pool, of father. Nor did I want to experience that summer again, which was full of swimming lessons in fractured light and cold winds, slow walks across the street, the long bend of a wiffle ball tossed from father's hand, or the slow leaching of light through the pear and lemon trees at my father's window as I spent hours playing video games. What I found myself missing was not that particular childhood, but rather the feeling of being a child, with all the doors of life open, sunlight pouring in every window. I wanted yet again to be rubbing a quarter-sized bit of shampoo into my hair, just as father had shown me, oblivious to the string of disappointments that comprise the shape of any adult life. What might it be like to read War and Peace for the first time again, to kiss a girl, to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch the sunrise, to know what an hour, what a day, what a love or a life could possibly hold in its tremulous fingers? What might it be like to sink again for the first time to the warm hot tub in the silence of Castle Valley and stare up at the glittering stars? It's a peculiar thing, aging. I often feel surprised by my reflection in a mirror, or how many decisions of mine that have already been made: marriage, children, house, divorce. It's not so much that I've made 4 decisions. Who would trade the warmth of a baby's body curled into your chest? But rather that so much time has passed, like water flowing swiftly beneath the hull of the fast-moving ship, the self a prow. My father was 41 years old the day he explained how to shower to me, his voice deep and stern-seeming because I saw so little of him. His hair was receding heavily, and his second wife was soon to leave him. Today I am 40 years old, living a life that bears a resemblance to his, as though someone has sketched very poorly between one of those old dot-to-dot drawings. For like many children of absent fathers, I intended never to leave my children, until I left too. But then I stayed, 2 blocks up the road in a small apartment with a stained porcelain tub, where my son, 7, sometimes showers. The elevator plunged down, that vertiginous drop that is a bit like the twinges of love. I don't remember what else happened that day, whether I ate cereal or built sandcastles. All I remember is standing on the fuzzy pink carpet, listening to my father, then pouring the quarter-shaped dollop of shampoo into my hand, careful to get it exactly right. From here, I can still remember the smell of the shampoo, the silken green texture in the palm of my hand, the slow lathering of it through my hair. I can see the shape of things to come, once ragged and wild, now narrowing, now closing. Okay, so the second essay is about trains and mass transit, and how we need it in this country. It's a political essay that is all a lie. It is about trains, though.
Trains are cool.
Yeah, trains are cool. I support what I just said. I want mass transit and all that. That is all true. I hope we have a lot of train enthusiasts in the audience.
Hands up, train enthusiasts?
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's okay. Good. That's all I've wanted. And I was recently asked about why I wrote this essay because it talks a little bit about a childhood experience with trains, Einstein's theory of relativity, some train travel I took in Europe, and a variety of different things. And the person was like, "How did you think about writing this?" And I did not have an answer. It was just kind of vibesy, but just disappointing. But that's where we are. So these are memories that I have of trains, whether that be how Einstein used it to special theory of relativity or childhood. So I'm going to read 2 short sections. The first is childhood, where there were train tracks that my mother always told us to stay away from, because obviously, just children just wander out to the tracks and get run over. I don't know why we would do that. It feels pretty stupid. But anyway, my mother was very worried about it. So this section is called childhood. Our parents constantly reminded us to stay away from the tracks. Parents are always nattering on about things to avoid: eating before exercise, eating before bed, eating in bed, crossing the street without looking both ways, acquiring a lover who is 10 years older with an addiction to Xanax, not getting grossly drunk at a wedding and peeing in the azaleas, that it eventually becomes hard to imagine they had any fun in their own probably non-existent childhoods. It's tempting to imagine them eating gruel after putting in 8 hours to factory, or scrubbing dishes in the afternoon and copying out their names in perfect cursive before falling asleep at 7. And thus, as any child knows, adults are always to be feared, but not always to be trusted. To trust them would be to accept the adult world, which every child knows is full of seriousness and obligations that have very little to do with joy. Naturally, whatever a parent forbids becomes alluring. We could not fully conceive what was so dangerous about the tracks. We were children, not stupid. We understood you did not stand directly in front of the train for fun, and yet we knew some further danger lurked beneath the surface because it was forbidden to us. And so this journey, though it only spanned a couple of blocks, was a childhood passage of rights. We understood that we were not traveling through a hole in a fence into waist-high patches of grass to stand near the tracks that cut like a black scar behind those suburban fences. We knew instead we were traveling from the safe land of mother's skirts of milk and cookies and bedtimes into a foreign and dangerous land, and parts of ourselves we didn't know existed wanted to court danger, parts we would discover later in life, chasing strange lovers, watching them against a blue horizon, blowing smoke. We'd stare at them for hours, losing ourselves in them when all we'd intended to do was pass time reading about epistemology. We were out by the tracks to see if the train would flatten a penny. We'd seen these pennies before, cupped in the palms of adults or more fortunate children. We were determined to make that particular day one of our own becoming, a day we'd share with less fortunate children in our own unknowable futures. We often pass childhood off as a fairy tale, thinking of the fun and games. And yet my childhood, like many others, was more like something from the Brothers Grimm, enchanted and dangerous both. There was a possibility the train would derail, or that we, through some act of stupidity or bravery, would wind up on the tracks. We did not know then that all of life was to be like that afternoon, that the mere act of existence is a risk, driving on a freeway, waking in the morning, taking the late train home, talking with a stranger deep into the night. I'll never forget the enchantment and fear of that day. We ached for arrival and absence, yearning for the train's whistle and fearing it, waiting for our parents to remain away, wanting our parents to remain away forever so we could experience something for once, and wanting them to gather us in their arms, tousle our hair, and assure us we would always be safe. What if things had gone on a different track? What if the train had come earlier and we decided to throw rocks at it, or place the penny down at the wrong moment? Perhaps the universe exists where the train did come, where the solid black cars flattened the grass and slid over a penny. Perhaps the universe exists where the train never came at all, where we stood with muddy shoes waiting in silence for something absent, like love affairs with women whose faces are now gone to us. Perhaps the universe exists where I stepped out onto the tracks and discovered the mystery. In that universe, the train exists, but I and this piece of writing, and therefore you, no longer exist. Instead, we are riding along together into another place. And then I'll skip ahead slightly. There's a section about a wedding, which was mine. I was 23, she was 21. That is too young to get married, as I know we all know. And then a section about our trip to Europe, which I will also skip over. And so I will finish with this third section. I had a very prudish childhood and upbringing, very Christian. And so this is intended as a bit of a joke when I wrote it, maybe 30 or so, but it is called On the Possibility of Making Love with a French Woman on a Train. Make your way into the dining car. Ask the woman with the golden hair who is staring out the window if there is room for one more. Order caviar and toast. Tell her you are American. Take your time looking out the window. Mention the countryside and the clouds. Have a glass of wine. One is enough. Ask after her children. Tell her about your grandmother's farm. If you do not have a grandmother, feel free to embellish. Meet her eyes every 10 seconds or so. Hold her glance for a millisecond, then blush. When you are touching the leg of a French woman on a train, begin with the pointer finger on your left hand. Place it just above the knee of her left leg, extending your middle finger to join it. Move your two fingers in small circles, moving further up her leg with each passing comment. Maintain eye contact throughout. Do not look away. This may be your one chance to make love to a French woman on a train. When she asks if you'd like another glass, look deeply into her eyes to determine the answer. Look away without saying anything. Comment on the simple beauty of the countryside, how it reminds you of time passing, the small intervals of lives you see beyond the window, how it reminds you of all the things you haven't done. Say, I need to get something for my sleeper car. As you rise, use the index finger on your right hand and slide it across the palm of her left. Begin just below the base of the middle finger and slide it down the center of her hand, finishing at the base just where the thumb joint begins. As your finger reaches the base of her hand, retrace your steps by sliding it gently upwards at a 45-degree angle. The finger should be touching for no more than 2 seconds. It is important that you slide the finger up, not continuing onto her wrist. During the time your finger is sliding down the length of her palm, Raise the left side of your mouth slightly, something just beneath the smile, and hold your eyes. Take 3 steps before turning around to look over your left shoulder. If she meets your eyes, raise your right hand to your face as though you were scratching it. Use your index finger to point in her direction, followed by your 3 middle fingers. Hold slightly back toward your face, though without touching it, to indicate she should follow you. If the woman is looking down or away when you turn over your left shoulder, keep walking. It is not your day to make love to a French woman on a train. And as you pee in the bathroom and straighten your hair in the mirror before returning to your own seat, notice today has turned out like any other day in your life, and like the many days that are sure to follow, an infinite seeming number of days in which you have not made love to a French woman, and certainly not a train. Thank you.
And I hear tell it's becoming trendy. My best friend Serena over here is in a smut book club, right? Yeah. So we'll invite you back to read at that too. All right. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Hannah and Billy, who is delightful for having filled in for someone who was on vacation. I'm really, really happy. You guys want to come out here and say things too? I'm really happy that all of you were able to come and join us in this little experiment. It seems to have gone well. I feel like we'll do it again. What do you think?
Oh yeah, we're looking at September.
Okay.
We've already got the people lined up.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming out. Thanks to the readers. Maybe we can get a photo of the readers or with the readers.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Also, I just want to say, like, one of our goals here is to create a more casual environment to creative work that's local and that it's creating that sort of energy. If we want grad students in the MFA program coming out, we want people who have published like a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. We want people from all across the spectrum to get engaged and like just to build up that level of enthusiasm that we all need as writers. Keep believing that when we sit alone in a room and you can't ever get any feedback or know if anything that you're doing is going to count or be read someday, just sometimes you need events like this to build that trust, to build that like belief and faith that it's going to happen. So thank you all for being part of that belief, that thing, giving us evidence that there's the...
Yeah, tell the literary curious.
Oh, that's our first T-shirt. Literary Curious.
Are you curious?
We do an extremely basic website where you can keep up with news of our
Just-
upcoming
just watch
September
the
reading.
slang.
If you get a sticker, that it'll have an announcement before our next one. If you want to keep more in touch, come talk to us. Get our contact info. Whatever. We'll be hanging around for a bit. We got this upstairs space for another hour if you care to hang out. Also, our bartender Frankie there, I want to point out, is doing this work this afternoon for us pro bono. So please do tip well to help us keep this venue, keep this place alive, and to help out the working conditions of those who are supporting this whole endeavor.
Thanks, everybody. You've been fantastic.